Welcome to Uncaged from TalkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow the MMA content here on TalkSPORT on a week-by-week, day-by-day basis. The interviews are coming in thick and fast as we hurtle towards UFC 304. And this man has got a date with destiny in Washington in the not-too-distant future as well, as the semi-finals of the PFL are near enough upon us. The one, the only, Mr. Brendan Loughnane. Fresh! I say fresh. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Fresh from a trip in Ibiza. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good. You know what? I'd say this is probably the closest me and you have been since we started this show, isn't it? Usually you're in America, I'm in Thailand. We're actually both in England for once, aren't we?
Mate, really, we're probably a couple of miles away from each other. So We're going to have to arrange doing this show in person over the next couple of weeks as you build up towards Washington, my man. Are you planning on staying in the UK, or is that passport getting stamped again sometime soon?
You know what? Like, I'm trying to kind of follow the year that I won it. I did my first two in Thailand, and I remember doing Chris Wade in England. It kind of coincides with Thailand being in monsoon season. The gyms get quiet out there. It's dead hard to commute. And then obviously with it being English summertime, whatever that means, like at least it kind of coincides together. And I thought, you know what? Why not follow the winning formula again?
Look out the window, man. Monsoon season's here in Manchester still, pal.
It's true, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. Well, that's good to hear. So hopefully we'll get an Uncaged show in person.
Definitely.
And obviously with you being in God's country, mate, when we get to UFC 304, we can be in and around it and getting people some content and getting closer. And also get an update on you as you hurtle towards those semi-finals. Not just you as well. Hopefully we can get Dakota on the show because she's got a big date with Destiny as well. She starts off the month, doesn't she? I think she's doing hers in Tennessee. And then, obviously, you are the 26th, if I'm not mistaken, of August in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
Look at that. Got me dates all sorted there, mate.
Well done. Yeah, but listen, one thing I know about Adam, he's got his dates and his times in order, mate.
Numbers, man. Numbers like Rain Man. Rain Man, they're all there in the back of the head. I just spurt them out whenever they come. I've actually got some... Listen, I've got some facts and stats for you on the show today, pal. I'll be throwing them out in a minute for you before I get to any of this carrying on and this nonsense. But before I do, how was Ibiza? Because you were allowed a little bit of downtime. We saw you get on your jet, and then the social media went off. That were hilarious. I thought, what's he going to be up to, this lad? Social media off, nothing gets recorded. See you in a bit, kids. I'll see you in 5 days.
Yeah, it had to be like that, mate, because I was like, you know what? I need a switch off because I've been switched on all year. We're in July, and it's like, I've been non-stop fighting, weight cutting. Obviously, you know, everyone's aware now of what was going on behind the scenes of the last one. So I just needed some time with my pals, mate, just to absolutely switch off. It was perfect. You know, started the camp back on Monday like I always do, had the week off. And just ready to get active now and get at it. I've got my first strength and conditioning today. Just really happy to be back on job, you know, back at my mum's and back training hard where it all started. It's good. It's nostalgic. I feel it.
Mate, we're in 2022. Let's see if we can do it in 2024. Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll.
No, we was here in 2008, Adam.
I'm talking about the path to glory in the PFL. That's what I was referring to, my friend. I know it's been a lot longer than that. I was just saying, let's just copy everything we did in 2022, do it again in 2024, and ride off into the sunset. Beautiful.
That's the plan. Let's see.
Did you, with you partying then, and obviously dancing in DJ booth and drinking and enjoying yourself, did you catch any action of the weekend? Although there wasn't too much MMA, there was a bit of crossover MMA stars stepping into the world of boxing. Did you see any of it?
Oh, we on about the gorilla here?
We'll talk Till in a minute. I want to start with Diaz Masvidal. Did you catch any?
Okay, I caught all of it. You know, I watched the highlights of it all. Now, where do I stand with all this gear here? Because I don't know. You know what's really difficult? I'll be honest, right? When you've come from the UFC, like Diaz, like Till, you know, and Masvidal, it's dead hard to watch him on these boxing shows. You know, I watch him and you see the production levels and the actual fights and just, you know, nobody does it like the UFC, did he, Adam? It's hard to watch. And, you know, I've said this to Till myself. He took that fight on a day's notice and flew over there. Obviously, this guy thought, come on, I mean, I've got no words for that guy. So for me, it's just hard to watch him in these type of fights because Till's a superstar. You know, he absolutely is. I want to be seeing fight. If you're going to cross to that world, It can only be Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. It can only be them names, really. Fighting these random guys in Dubai. He's better than that, and he knows it. And hopefully now, this is just him wetting his feet, and he's on to the bigger, better things. And as for the Diaz Masvidal, it's difficult to watch. It's difficult to watch. Legends going at it on these type of shows. With the low production values, it's hard on the eyes. I mean, what did you think?
What did I think? Yeah. Right, here you go. So, right, I'll start with Diaz and Masvidal because I love the pair of them. They are OGs of the MMA game, of course. I fell in love with them as they were going through on their MMA journeys and obviously culminating in what they experienced in the UFC. And I was lucky enough to be at the original one, the BMF in New York, where The Rock slapped the belt on Masvidal in an MMA contest. It was great, man. Great fun, and very fitting for these two guys to be involved in it. I get it. They're at the twilight of their career. They've had a few injuries along the way. Yeah. Maybe the body isn't holding up in camps anymore to be able to do proper MMA camps. I spoke to Jorge when I was out in Las Vegas, building up towards UFC 300. He said, listen, the primary reason for me doing this is that putting your body through an MMA camp for a fight in the UFC, it takes it out of you. I'm 39 years of age, man. I can't keep doing it. Whereas in the world of boxing, it's a little easier. It's not easy, but it's a little easier. There's only one thing that I've got to concentrate on. Of course, it's a completely different discipline to MMA. He's up sticks from Miami. He went out to Las Vegas, training with Jorge Capetillo, and he fully immersed himself in the game. And I think it's something that he always wanted to tick off. Very similar to Nate. Nate's a star. You could put Nate in the UFC, the PFL, a boxing ring. You could put him in a karate contest, a jiu-jitsu contest. He's going to sell tickets, man. And it's Nate. He'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. So I think because these two had a narrative, it kind of made a little bit of sense that at this stage of the career, go and have a boxing match and go make a few quid. As a contest, and boxing was pretty poor over the weekend, there was a lot of rubbish on our screens. Two MMA guys actually dished up probably the best, most watchable boxing contest of the weekend. Yeah. I didn't agree with the result, if I'm dead honest, pal. Right. I know that Nate Diaz comes away with a majority decision victory. I thought that the scoring was closer to the 95-95. I actually thought Masvidal maybe edged it, 96-94, but it is what it is. It's a little bit of fun. Hopefully they've made a few quid. I would like both of them to maybe come back to the world of MMA and do what we all fell in love with them doing. Proper fighting, with all due respect to the world of boxing. These lads are mixed martial artists, so if they can do it and put their bodies through it one more time, I would love them to do it. But I can understand the attraction of making coin in the world of boxing. And that kind of leads me on nicely to talking about Till. Because at the weekend, obviously, we find him in Dubai having his professional boxing debut, right? And he's taken that, as you just said, last minute notice. Yeah. But he's taken it purely out of frustration. Because if you look at what was supposed to happen, he was supposed to fight Chavez Jr., former world champion. That name is synonymous with the world of boxing. Till's making his boxing debut against him on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson undercard. Now, you can think whatever you want about that particular fight, but it was massive because Netflix were going to stream it. That's a worldwide broadcast. Yeah. And one of the best fights that you could possibly make in female boxing was on the undercard in Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor Part 2. Absolutely gigantic opportunity for Till. It all falls through because obviously Mike Tyson's illness, it all gets rescheduled and what have you. And I know that Till's having a few problems with his visa getting into America, right? So phone call comes. He just wants to get out, man. He spent 18 months in the gym doing gym work. You know what it's like. When you're out there in the darkness, grinding, you want to get under the lights. You want to go and feel it. You want to go you want to go knock somebody out. That's what you want to go and do. Yeah. And he has purely just jumped at the first opportunity that has come his way. Would he have normally have done that? No, I don't think he would have done. He just wanted to get something out of his system. So that's why I think we end up in Dubai, mate, having that particular fight. And then what then actually happens on the night is just typical Darren Till in it. You couldn't script the night itself. He goes in there, looks good, gets a TKO victory because his opponent spews it. Let's be dead straight about it. He didn't want to fight the fella. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he fancies making some viral content coming back after he spewed it to try and cause some type of mass brawl between everybody. As Till has kind of labelled Mormuti, it's a coward's trick. If you want to have a fight, you're there, man. The referee's there. You're in that corner, I'm in this corner. Let's have a fight. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to create a viral moment, of which he's absolutely done. loads of people will jump on the Till train and they'll give Till a load of abuse for that. It wasn't his fault. Nothing to do, for once, nothing to do with Darren Till.
Yeah.
The other fella's caused the bother. He's had to defend himself in some way, shape or form. And he's got out of Dubai and he's back on training. Fingers crossed he can get himself, as you were alluding to a minute or two ago.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, get yourself a Mike Perry. Get yourself a Jake Paul. Get yourself a fight of those types of name in order to try and make some proper money.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially hard for me and you because we're close with Till and we know what he's capable of. You know, the rumblings from Rotunda are just like he's taking out serious level people in sparring. Do you know what I mean? So we know where he should be and what he deserves. And then to take that fight, he rang me about it and then I said, who's the opponent? And he sent it me. I know the kid. I trained in Dubai with the guy and I'm like, oh my, is it really? Is this what we're doing? Like, you know what I mean? You can't blame Till. Like you say, he's day in, day out, twice a day at the Rotunda with the likes of the Smiths, you know, and Dennis McCann and all these high-level boxers training like a high-level boxer. He wants to just show his skills. That guy didn't come to show his skills. That guy just wanted to be in there with Darren Till, with his 1,000 followers, and make a name for himself with some stupidness. Now, that's what he did, you know. They say any publicity is good publicity. Is it? Not sure. Do you know what I mean? But one thing I do know, it got him back on aerial. Yeah, it got him back talking. You know, the other influencers were fighting that night. It brought his name back up. And hopefully, like I say, all roads lead to Tommy Fury, Mike Perry, or Jake Paul. They're the only three names that we're interested in now, and that's that.
Yeah, he says that he's going to be back out in 6 weeks, boxing again. And then hopefully, by the time we get to the back end of the year, one of those three names will be the one. Personally, like you say, it's a difficult conversation to have because I want Darren Till back in MMA. I know that he's got unfinished business there, and I believe that he has got the skills physically to be able to deliver in MMA. We've had long conversations about what goes on between his ears. It doesn't take a genius to understand that he's absolutely smashing the living daylights out of it in the gym. When it comes to fight night, it might not necessarily be coming into fruition. He's got to sort that out. He knows he's got to sort that out. Maybe boxing's going to help him sort that out. And if it does help him sort it out, then you've got a serious problem coming back into the world of MMA, hopefully in 2025.
Yeah, no, for real. Listen, I've cornered Till. I know. I've seen him at Tiger Muay Thai. Just, you know, me and him sparring the Russians every day. Everyone knows what Darren Till's physically capable of, you know. And I just hope now, like you said, training with, you know what I think's really good for him? Being amongst his people, being amongst Scousers, being in that gym. You know, he's really connected with all them people in there and all them trainers and all them fighters. And I just hope now that this is the elevation point, you know, taking on that moment where, you know, no one would have foreseen that coming, would they? Nobody would have put that on the script. But that's the way the cards have been dealt. So let's hopefully now, like you said, he's in the boxing camp with the Scousers, Till's with the Scousers, and that is the best place for him.
Yeah, listen, like I said, fingers crossed. He gets all this out of his system, makes a few quid, and then gets himself back into a cage somewhere soon.
Yeah.
One man that's definitely going to be in a cage somewhere soon, UFC 304, co-main event, interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall defending that title against Curtis Blades, looking for a little bit of redemption, given the fact that it was Blades that was facing Tom when he busted his knee up a couple of years back. He's been catching up with TalkSPORT as the one and only man from Atherton, and he's been talking about the possibility of fighting Alex Pereira.
As we've seen with me, I'm not shying away from anybody. So if the UFC want to do that, I'm more than happy to do it. But I think as an elite level fighter myself, you can't help but be impressed with what Alex Pereira has done over the past couple of years. You know what I mean? This time, a few years ago, no one knew who he was, and now he's like one of the biggest stars in MMA, one of the best fighters in UFC history, and I really, really respect what he's done. Does that mean that I don't want to fight him? No, I absolutely want to fight him, but I'm sure there'll be a time and a place for it. I'm not jumping ahead of things right now. I'm fighting Curtis Blades now, and if that's what the UFC want to do one day, then we'll absolutely do it.
Do you know something? This makes an incredible amount of sense for me.
Yeah.
Because we know that obviously Jon Jones is adamant that he's going to be fighting Stipe Miocic. If I'm Tom Aspinall and I do to Curtis Blades what I believe Tom Aspinall is capable of doing to Curtis Blades. I get on that microphone when Michael Bisping's there in the octagon afterwards with that mic. I grab hold of it and I say, right, everybody's talking about this Portan fella. Bring him to me. I'll show you what's what. And then, all of a sudden, all the eyes of the world, all this superstardom that Alex Pereira has obviously created for himself, and rightfully so. It's been phenomenal, this ride. But Tom Aspinall can steal all that star by fighting Alex Pereira at the back end of 2024.
No, that's the only fight to make. Adam, me and you spoke about this previously on here. Yeah? You've got a guy here, he was ripping through divisions. He's knocking everyone out. He's a global superstar now. That's the level he's on. He is on the level of Jon Jones and all these guys. He's creeping up there now to stardom. And the UFC probably only has 3 or 4 level of stars like this guy. So if I'm Tom Aspinall, I want that now. You know, no disrespect to Curtis Blades. Yeah, he's got to win over him, but Curtis Blades is not Pereira. He's just not. You know what I mean? He's not got the star power. He's not got the name. Tom needs the name now. He wanted it in Jon Jones. You know, we're all confident in saying that's not going to happen. Take the next best thing. In my opinion, it's a much better stylistic fight for you anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think at this stage, Tom does beat Jon Jones. I really do at this stage. But I think he comfortably beats Pereira. As we've seen, Tom, when he wants to mix it up, there's no one better. The way he gets the boxing going. You've been sparring with Tyson Fury. You're a black belt on the ground. You've got all the ingredients here to make Pereira look average.
And just as a little bit of sprinkling of the sugar on top of all of this, make sure it happens on the same card that Jones is fighting Stipe.
Yeah.
Get on the same card. Get in New York. Get on that card at Madison Square Garden and go and deliver the statement. And then, once you do what you're supposed to do, get on that microphone again and say, listen, main event, I'll see you next year. Don't go running. Don't go retiring. Don't go calling it a day after this Legends fight. Come and see the landlord because the rent is due. That's what you need to be saying.
The stars are written. The stars are lined. That's the path. I mean, it's been laid out for him. Tom is an absolute superstar, mate, and he just deserves these big fights now. You know what I mean? He's shown taking on the world title on short notice, and he's done everything that's asked of him. Give the guy his break, man, and he'll get it. I really do think he will.
Did you see the social media back and forth between Alex Pereira and Anthony Joshua? Where Anthony Joshua has insinuated, well, he kind of put out there, said, listen, Alex Pereira, very impressive guy in MMA. He absolutely should be making a crossover into the world of boxing. And then Alex Pereira responded by saying, yeah, this has always been my dream. I'm 37 now. I'm doing really well in MMA, but I'd like to step into boxing at some point. You got any ideas of who maybe I should fight?
You know what it is? Anthony Joshua is now thinking, I just made a right few quid off fighting an MMA fighter, and it was light work. Keep sending me these MMA fighters, please. He's thinking, why am I getting in there with the Furies and the U6 when I can make more dough fighting these MMA novices? Like, that's what they are at the end of the day. Why would you not? I mean, if Joshua's no spring chicken anymore, he's thinking, give me these easy paydays, mate. I'd be taking the same route as him. I'd be calling every one of them out, because here's the thing. They're rising their stock in MMA. They're becoming superstars and household names. And he's thinking, I can snatch that, exactly what Tom Aspinall should be doing at the same time. Tom Aspinall could be in with the Joshuas and that. Like, these crossovers are going to start happening. We're talking about Tom Aspinall who's actually got pro boxing experience. So I just think now it's about building your brand and building your name. And no one cares what you fight in boxing, MMA, karate, combat. Like, they're going to watch you fight. And it just seems to be happening more and more now, doesn't it?
It does. Listen, as a fan of MMA, I want to see Aspinall Pereira. Don't get me wrong. If Pereira fights Anthony Joshua, I'm sure I'll get on that bandwagon. But the fight is Pereira Aspinall, winner gets Jon Jones, Stipe. That's it. That's all I want to see for now, and then we can talk about it next year, kids. All right? If we're going to do some crossover.
But what do you think, Noah? Do you really think that's going to happen? Do you think Jon Jones is fighting Tom Aspinall? Be honest.
Right now, the answer to that question, my gut says no. My gut says that Jon Jones fights Stipe Miocic in November.
Swan song.
And he basically then says, I've just beaten the GOAT. the heavyweight GOAT. I'm the GOAT. See you in a bit. Ta-da.
That's the script.
I'll tell you what. I'd be confident of Jon Jones having one more fight if it was against Alex Pereira. Because I think Jon Jones would fancy being able to beat Alex Pereira.
True.
Let's call this straight, man. The reason why this dance is happening is because Jon Jones, at this stage of his life, of his life right now,
we all know what it is.
He doesn't believe he can beat Tom Aspinall. He knows full well that Tom Aspinall is an absolute bag of spanners to blooming try and figure out, innit? And that is, why would he want to hand that to somebody? Anybody that has met John's I love Jon Jones as a martial artist. I've interviewed him many times. I think he's a top dude, right? But you only need to spend a couple of minutes with him and you know full well he's got a big ego. And all the big superstars have these big egos. Why is he going to go out on a loss? He ain't going to put that on the line. He is the greatest of all time. He's signed, sealed, delivered. He is. He stepped up. He's now the heavyweight champ. And he's got the opportunity to beat the best. I said the best heavyweight. The heavyweight with the most amount of defences. He's got the opportunity to do that. After that, then what do you do? If the puzzle is Tom Aspinall, the answer is no. If the puzzle's Alex Pereira, then you go, well, Alex Pereira's a multi-weight world champion. Here's how we sell it. We'll give him the opportunity to become a 3-weight world champion by fighting the GOAT. If he beats me, he can become the GOAT, but he ain't going to beat me because he can't wrestle like me, kids. I'm going to take him down like I did with Cyril Gann, and that's how we're going to rock and roll. But the kid from Atherton, he can wrestle for fun. He's got jiu-jitsu for fun. He can strike all day with you if you want. There you go. Let's just call it straight. That's the predicament that we find ourselves in. It's going to take an awful lot of cash to get Tom and Jon in the same octagon together, sadly.
I can't, mate, you took the words out of my mouth. You've called it for what it is. That is exactly how it is. And I'm sure, if I'm honest, if I'm Jon Jones, I'll be honest with you, Adam, I am avoiding Tom Aspinall. I am. I'm doing exactly what you said. I'm nearly 40. I'm making my last bit of bread. I've fought everyone in the primes. Yeah. And I'm seeing this young killer floating through the division.
I ain't giving you that.
You know,
I'm not giving you that fire. No chance.
He's a quiet lad. You know, he's not built his name like Pereira and, you know, Stipe in a sense. He's going to make that name very soon. He's going to take everyone out, but he's not taking it out on me. That's what I'm thinking. He's not making it on me. Like, I'll happily sit in the background, take these last two here. Pereira, maybe, but definitely Stipe. He's going to make light work of Stipe. Let's all call it for what it is. You know, you see Stipe walking about now. He's done with it. Do you know what I mean? And it's an easy fight for him. It's a couple mil, and it's swan songs. You're the greatest heavyweight and light heavyweight. I'm doing the same, Adam. Sorry, I am.
Listen, and it's fully understandable. It's not what we want, but it's fully understandable.
It is.
Moving on nicely to this week, because the UFC is back in action. It's in Denver, Colorado, and it's Rose Namajunas and Tracy Cortez in the main event. It was Macy Barber. Macy Barber ended up falling off this fight, and Tracy Cortez has stuck her hand up and jumped at the opportunity of fighting Rose Namajunas. Namajunas, obviously, since stepping up in weight, has looked really, really good, and she's hurtling towards trying to get herself a title shot here, but as is Tracy Cortez, whose story, mate, I'm captivated by it because she enters the world of mixed martial arts. She loses her professional debut, undefeated since. So she's 11-1. 11 straight wins she's had. But whenever I speak to Tracy Cortez, family, we speak a bit about family because her brother sadly passed away from cancer. Her mum's recently passed away as well. And you can just tell the way that this kid speaks. There's this burning thing behind where she's wanting to make them proud. She's doing it for more reasons than just stepping in there and loving a fight. There's a thing behind the conversation which I find really fascinating. Whenever I speak to fighters, there's always something, there's always a why. And this is a real personal why of wanting to try and fulfill what her brother maybe should have fulfilled if he was obviously still with us. But she's trying to do it for him. Honestly, I can't wait to see this fight at the weekend because Rose has looked really, really good at 125.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the stories. Who wants to really get locked in a cage and have a fight to the death? Because that's what we're really doing. The serious whys going on with everyone. You know, Cortez's story is fascinating. Actually, must have been could have been a decade ago when I first seen her. About 8 years ago it was. I was in a gym in Arizona, And she was just starting out, and I seen her on the bag and that, and then we knew her and chatting to her, so I've been aware of her for that long.
I think she's been, mate.
I
think she's been with the UFC since about 2016, so it's been a bit of time that she's been there.
Yeah, and I just remember her, and she's obviously got the looks, you know what I mean, so she's captivating in that way. Then you go to a story, but listen, when Rose turns up, mate, it's not an easy night, is it, Adam? So we're going to really see her.
It's an interesting style matchup, isn't it? Because Rose striking superb, whereas Cortez comes mainly from a wrestling background. So it's whether she can get Rose to the mat. It's going to be interesting, man.
Yeah, for sure. You've got the new breed taking on the older one, and it's one of them. It could be a passing of the guard, or it might be a lesson. We'll see, won't we?
Will. And we've seen recently there's been a few lessons being dished out. These old schoolers are going, what are you doing, young pup? Jog on. It's not happening. So we'll see on Saturday night with the main event at Denver, Colorado. Are you thinking of changing your name anytime soon? Well, I'll bring it up because I don't know if you know, because ahead of UFC 304, Bobby Green will not be introduced as Bobby Green.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about it.
He will be introduced officially as King Green. That's right, King Green. You ever thought...
I mean, you know what I'm enjoying? I'm enjoying these UFC Manchester back and forth, especially the Paddy and, King Green fight. Right. What an intriguing matchup that is. He's really got my mind thinking, that one. You've got an absolute grizzled vet, again, just like we alluded to previously. Is it a passing of the guard, or is Bobby Green, which we've seen before, going to give out a serious lesson, Adam? What's going to happen?
I'll make that comment when we get to UFC 304.
Yeah. It's a giddy one, that one. What a fight, man. What a great match.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable match.
And there's got to be a time where Paddy then does step up and what you would class as have a fight with someone who is ranked. I know that Bobby's ranked 15 in this particular division, but it's absolutely a step up for Paddy. And this is the right challenge at the right time. He did well against Tony Ferguson. This is the moment now. And speaking about Bobby Green, it kind of leads me in nicely to this, right? Because I was watching an interview with Joanna Jędrzejczyk the other day, and she was talking about a female BMF title. We've obviously got one in the men's, which floats between weight divisions, and we've seen recently Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje going at it for the BMF. She wants a female BMF, and if there was a female BMF, she wants to be considered for it. She'll come out of retirement, she'd have a little bit of a fight. Now, what constitutes a BMF, right? Because when I think of someone like a Bobby Green, that to me constitutes a little bit of a BMF. Someone that's going to take a fight anytime, any place, any way, anywhere. Just ring them. They say, yeah, gum shields packed, we're on the plane and away we go, right? Yeah. And just to back that up, check this out. Everybody talks about Alex Pereira, right? So since Alex Pereira has been in the UFC, 2.5 years, this Brent, right? 2.5 years. Oh, here we go. You hear some stats? You hear some numbers? Here we go, baby.
Hey. Get the pen
out. So since Alex Pereira has been in the UFC of November of 2.5 years back, he's had 9 fights in the UFC, right? So he's 8-1. Obviously, the one defeat came against Israel Adesanya. I want you to think of fighters that in that period of time have had the same or more fights than him within the UFC. All right? And there are some, okay? One of which is Bobby Green. That's why I wanted to flag him up. So Bobby Green is about to have, in that period of time, his 11th fight. He's just anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere. Don't get me wrong, he's won some, he's lost some. It's been a bit all over the place, but Bobby Green's about to have his 11th fight. He's had 10, right? Now, this leads me into the conversation about women's BMFs, okay?
Right.
As it stands right now, since Alex Pereira made his debut and since Conor McGregor last fought in the UFC of July of the same year, right, 3 years back, which fighter has had the most amount of fights in the UFC?
Apart from them two. Is it Jim Miller?
No. Good shout with Jim. Jim's up there. Right.
Apart from...
I'll drop this in on you, right? So...
Go on.
So you've got Bobby Green.
Yeah.
Action man Chris Curtis has had a few in there as well. Yeah. He's had 10, right?
Yeah.
Now check this out, and this is why we float this nicely towards the women's BMF title. Lupe Godinez has had the most amount of fights in that period of time, and she's got the best record. She's 7-3 in 10 fights in 2.5 years. Check this out. right? Since Conor McGregor last fought, she had in October of 2021 3 fights in October in 2 different weight divisions, mate. Back-to-back weeks, had a gap, and then fought again the week after. Absolutely sensational BMF attitude. So if anybody's going to be involved in a BMF fight, Lupe Godinez has got to get the call, because that, for me, is what it's all about, man. Never saying no, getting the shout. You're experiencing this with the PFL. It's back-to-back. That's where the BMFs go. You know what I mean? We might be a little bit banged up, but the call's coming. I'm ready to rock and roll.
So who do you stick her in with, then?
Who do I stick her in with? Well, yeah, give Joanna a shout, man. Just if she wants the knock, get her back in. Let's get in there.
It has to be, doesn't it? Who else? I mean, it has to be.
I'm up for it.
Listen, anyone can sell it as you. The numbers were on point, as always, Adam. I don't ever argue with your numbers, so let's make it happen.
What do you make of Artem Vakhitov from the world of kickboxing, Glory, a man that has got a victory over Alex Pereira, saying, listen, man, everybody's on this Alex Pereira train. Everybody's getting excited about the Alex Pereira train, but I've beaten him. I'll come over and show you how rudimentary he is as a striker.
I mean, it's like someone jumping out of the ABAs and saying, I beat Brendan 14 years ago, like, any chance I could fight him in MMA now? It's like, is this what we're doing now? This is like, you know what I mean? I had a Thai fight with him in Thailand in 2004. Like, I can definitely beat him now. It's just like, people are just jumping out the woodwork for any bit of fame now, aren't they? Anything at all. And listen, I watched the fight, you know what I mean? After hearing about it, I watched the highlights of it. Kid looks good. Do you know what I mean? And if he is doing MMA now and he's capable, we need storylines. No one cares about records. We care about storylines now. And that has got the storyline behind it. Once he's fought the Tom Aspinalls, once Pereira's fought for this heavyweight title and he's running out of storylines, there's another one sat there, isn't there?
There is, mate. There is. Listen, that leads us nicely to finish up with the show. We're going to be getting stuck into UFC 305 very, very shortly as Israel Adesanya attempts to become champion once again, taking on Dricus du Plessis. They had a lovely little back and forth in their Perth press conference a couple of weeks back. It looks like a nice card as well for Australian fighters. Dead excited about that. But before we get to any of that, 2 weeks' time, mate, Manchester, the destination. You know it's going to be raining. It's going to be absolutely chucking down. But hopefully there's going to be an absolute storm going on inside that cage, because top to bottom, British talent, extremely excited to see them all do their thing, mate.
What, me and you sat on coffees till 7 in the morning? That's what it's going to be, isn't it? A night filled with MMA action at the Manchester Arena, or the new Co-op Arena, should I say. Come on, mate. I'm here.
Bouncing out into the streets at 7 a.m. Adrenaline up to the max, having watched Leon Edwards do his thing. Fingers crossed there. There you go.
Can't wait.
Listen, thank you very much for tuning in to us. You can subscribe to the TalkSPORT MMA YouTube channel. Dead simple to do. Just hit the button. Hit the button. Like, subscribe, comment. Get stuck into everything that we're doing as we hurtle towards UFC 304. Of course, we're going to be getting you closer to the action. We're going to be speaking to Leon again. We're going to be speaking to Tom again. Paddy the Baddy will be on the show as well. And fingers crossed, we might have a little bit of a surprise for you when it comes to fight night. That's right. The suit jackets might be out, baby. And we might be getting you closer to the action too. So make sure you keep across everything that we're doing here at TalkSPORT. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.